Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having an amazing week so far. Welcome Aisha. Hi Syra. Just a reminder students, in the chat, please use English only. This is intermediate to advanced English here for IELTS, so you should be using English throughout this session. Today it's a listening class, everybody. We're going to listen to part 3 and part 4 of an IELTS exam. We'll look at some strategies. We'll answer the questions together. We'll get some good practice in. The topics for part 3 and part 4 are working on a group project and climate change. This listening audio, this exam is coming from our website, aehelp.com. and gieltshelp.com for lots more practice exams, tips, strategies, and all the tools you need to get ready for your next IELTS test. Visit us there and join the premium version of our courses. This is aehelp.com here with the blue background. Click this big red button to join the premium version right over there. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. You get 2 extra live classes each week through Zoom. We're an IDP affiliate, we're a British Council partner, we're an IELTS test registration center, and I'm a certified British Council agent. We've helped thousands of students succeed on their IELTS exams. We had the first IELTS YouTube video back in 2011. General IELTS, gieltshelp.com, it's the green background. Again, click that big red button right there. It is a one-time payment, and it costs only about 30 to 50 bucks US. Fill out the form here and you can use the code TOGETHER9, which I shared in the chat earlier, for an extra 10% discount. Students, let's get into it. So the schedule for this week is listening today right now, and then tomorrow we're going to have speaking for everybody here on YouTube. You will have a chance to speak as well tomorrow through Zoom. We combine Zoom with YouTube. And then premium students who do sign up for the website, you have a reading class on Thursday and a speaking class on Friday. If you want to check out what those premium classes look like, follow this link. I'll drop it into the chat. And if you like learning through your mobile, make sure to download our apps, Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help from your app store, and you can link it to your web app, everybody. If you have questions, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. And you can always check out our Instagram at IELTS_AEhelp or GIELTShelp. We've got some great vocabulary and some tips there for you as well. Subscribe to the channel, get notifications of these live classes and new video uploads. This one's a speaking video here for you that you can check out when you've got a bit of time. Minion Frogs is asking, when will we have writing? We'll have writing next week. Next week we'll do task 2 in these live classes, okay? All right, students, let's hop in. So we're looking at section 3 or part 3 of the listening. This exam continues from last week when we finished part 1 and part 2. If you missed that class, no biggie. It's up on YouTube. You can take a look at the live videos on the channel and you'll find it there from last week. Students, let's do this together. So I'm going to put on my headset for the audio. We're going to listen and answer these questions together. You will only hear the audio one time, just like in the real exam, so pay attention. Remember from last week, you want to exercise active listening, which means you want to visualize the content. In this case, we're listening to 3 people having a discussion on a group project. So imagine that you're one of these 3 people. You're working in school with a couple of partners on a group project, and really focus on imagining the content. For the audio, we'll hop back to our website here. We'll go into our My Student account, and then in the My Student account, we'll take a look at the audio CDs. And in the audio CDs, this will be track number 3. So let's do this, everyone. Get ready to listen. Pay attention, focus. Try not to put the answers in the chat. Put it somewhere else so you don't confuse your peers. Let's do it.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Listening section 3. You will hear 3 students organising a class project. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
I just got an email from the professor saying the due date for our European History group project has been pushed back to Monday.
Great! That means we'll have the weekend to work on it.
I suppose that's good news, but I don't really want to do any homework on my weekend. I had planned to go away with my girlfriend for some relaxation this weekend.
I suppose that's understandable. Maybe we should just have it done by Friday, the original due date. That gives us today and Thursday to finish it.
We can do that, I think. I'm available tomorrow. How about we spend today planning it, assign tasks to take home with us and do tonight, and then meet tomorrow and put it all together? Does that sound right?
That works for me.
That doesn't work too well for me. My afternoon is very busy. I guess I'll just have to burn the midnight oil tonight.
What has you so tied up, Evan?
I have a basketball game after school today, and then my favourite football team plays this evening at 7. It's okay though. I'll get the work done. Let's get started on the planning.
All right. So we have to come up with a 3-panel poster about a topic in European history. I already bought the material for the poster, so we don't have to worry about that.
How much was it?
It was £3.
OK, we'll each give you £1 for the poster board.
No, don't worry about it. My dad paid for it anyway.
Sounds good to me.
Right then, since there's 3 of us, my idea was that 2 of us could take care of the writing part of the project, while 1 of us could look after the artwork, making the poster look smart.
I'll do the artwork. I think I'm a pretty good artist.
I'll be happy to do half the writing. What topics are we going to choose?
Well, the professor said the topic has to be an event that took place somewhere between 1400 and 1800, so we can't do either of the world wars.
That's too bad. My dad is an expert on the Second World War, and he could have helped me with my part. What are we going to do instead?
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30.
Okay, let's look at those questions, students. You're always moving forward with the audio in the IELTS.
Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
I was reading my textbook the other day and I read some really interesting information on the French Revolution.
That's a really good idea.
I know. How about instead of doing a summary of the French Revolution, we write about some of the people involved instead?
Oh, I like that idea. So who are some of the important people?
Well, there's the King, Louis XVI.
Robespierre was important, I think.
Yes, he was. And of course, Napoleon Bonaparte.
We should have 4 people, so you can each write about 2 people.
How about Marie Antoinette?
OK, so we have 4 historical figures. Each of you are going to write about 2. Now we have to decide how much we're going to write. Remember, we have to fill up a 3-board poster.
That's a good point about the 3-board poster. Maybe we should do a 5th person, then we can have 2 figures on each side with 1 in the middle.
Good idea. We can make the middle one really important. We'll make that one Napoleon. As for a 5th person, How about Voltaire?
Good. So how about I do the important one on Napoleon and a smaller one on Robespierre?
Okay, and I'll do the other 3.
How long should each topic be?
I'd say 200 words each for the small ones and 450 for the big one on Napoleon.
I think that sounds about right. What do you think about meeting up later on?
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, students, and again, in that half minute, check your answers. We'll stop the audio for now. Always follow with the audio, so when they give you those time instructions of spend 20 seconds here, 30 seconds there, make sure you do it that way, so don't jump around. That can get really confusing. If you miss some answers, that's okay. The goal is to get as many correct as you can, and you can only do that if you're following with the audio, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the answers. And again, students, when you're a premium member on the website and you're practicing, you should do these exams at least a couple times each. So don't just do listening exams once, okay? Don't always be looking for newer and newer exams. Make sure to go back, listen a second time, check where you missed answers, check where you made mistakes. You have to be able to identify those missing pieces from your listening and your active listening, your attention, okay? So just some really important tips there. Let's go back to the top. So section 3, they call these parts now from 2020, not sections anymore, which is sometimes a bit confusing in practice materials, but don't worry about that. Okay, so here the instructions say write no more than 1 word. Okay, always pay very careful attention to the instructions. If you write 2 words, it's already wrong. Okay, so what day of the week does the discussion take place? We heard them chatting with each other. They said they have the weekend to work on it. But then they say, well, let's get it done before the weekend. And then they say that gives us today, tomorrow, and Friday to work on it. That was the key sentence. Okay. So if they say today, tomorrow, and Friday to work on it, then that means today must be, and this is an inference type question. Ariadna says it's Wednesday. By the way, welcome Carolina, everybody. Carolina's in blue in the chat. She's our chat moderator. She's here to help you a bit with your questions. Thank you for being here, Carolina. So Alexander says Tuesday. No, it's actually Wednesday. So today, tomorrow, and Friday, right? It means Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this inference question is Wednesday. And if you miss these answers, you're having trouble figuring them out, remember, students, in your exam book, you have the transcripts at the end. So again, on the website, in the 3rd tab, IELTS exams workbook study plans, this is the first exam. So if you download this exam here, or test book 1 here, then you'll find the transcripts at the back of the book. Okay. All right. So Wednesday. So whoever got Wednesday, you're doing awesome. Good for you. Okay. And you move on to the next question. The next set of questions is this fill in the form. When you review the fill in the form type questions, look at them holistically. So look at them not just question by question, but look at the entire form. Focus especially on the topics of the columns. So here it says the group task. And then in the second column, it says when the task is completed. All right. So look at that kind of global piece. Sometimes the answers come very quickly, and sometimes they don't come in the exact order of the questions, or they're repeated. And that's why it's so important that you look at the whole concept of the form and not just one question or question by question within the form. Okay, does that make sense, everybody? Thumbs up. I am looking at the chat, so it's good when you let me know that you're picking up what I'm putting down, or you're understanding my instructions, because I do have it all here in front of me. When should what's going on today with the project, students? What's going on today with the project? What are they doing? Anybody get that one? Ariadna got it. Ariadna says they're planning the project today. And that's correct. And again, students, keep your thoughts simple, stay focused during the exam, even if you didn't catch the word planning, if you didn't get number 22 right away. Just think about what they're doing right now, right? Today is now. It's what they're actually doing. And that's what's happening in this discussion, is they're planning the project. So even if you don't pick them up saying that, you can just get it from the context, right? They're talking to each other and they're planning the project. From my experience with the IELTS exam, I would say that from the 40 questions in the whole listening section, you can probably figure out about 5 or 6 questions on every exam just from the questions and the context. So it gives you a little bit of confidence that if you miss a question, you don't need to panic. You don't need to freak out and go, oh my goodness, I can't figure this out. Just really pay attention to the questions and the context in real life, and you can often figure them out. Okay. All right, so they're planning the project today, they're doing the project tonight, and they're putting the project together. And this one, I think, again, makes logical sense. You could almost guess this one if you didn't hear it. So when are they putting the project together? What's the logical answer here? You can use a capital here, but you don't need to. It's tomorrow, right? So if they're going to plan it, do it tonight, then they can put it together tomorrow with their poster board, right? So it's tomorrow. Very good job, Aisha. Okay. So planning, doing it, and putting it together. Today, tonight, tomorrow. All right, who paid for this poster board? So who put the money in? Was it one of the women, one of the women's father, or the man's father? Again, this is an inference type question. You have to get it. The woman says they want to give her money. They said, I picked up the poster board, and then they want to give her money. I think it costs £4, if I remember correctly. And they said, we'll give you £1 each. And then she said, don't worry about it. My dad paid for it. So the answer is C, the man's father. That's right. Very good. Okay. Sorry, it's not C. Who's paying attention? It's B. Yes, I did see that answer. It's the women's father. Kalita says, no, it's the women's father. Carolina, quick to correct. Yes, no, you're correct. All right. That's how you know it's only 6:50 a.m. in my part of the world. All right. It was one of the women's father. Yes, one of the women's father. She says my dad paid for it. Okay. Then we had the next question. They talked about what the actual project is. So they need to create this poster about some famous historical event. And that event had to occur between 2 years. Now here, when you see the years, you know that you're looking for some numbers. Or I should say you're listening for some numbers. What were those numbers? So you have to put, if you're doing the paper-based exam, not the computer-based, then you have to put both numbers onto the line for 25. Okay. And many of you got that. Very good. You're saying it was 1400 to 1800. Exactly. 1400 to 1800. So you just need those two numbers. You can even separate them by a comma in your answer sheet. And use numbers. Definitely don't try to write the words. Just use the numbers, right? Pay attention to the question. No more than 3 words and or a number. You can do 2 numbers. It's kind of confusing because they say a number, which means like one number, but it means like a number for each blank or a number for each answer. So you can use 2 numbers. Okay, that's definitely not a problem. You don't need to use one number and one word or anything like that. Okay. All right. So what topic would the male student like to write on but cannot because of the assignment restriction? So he even says, oh, my dad's an expert on this topic. He could have helped me, but it's not a possible topic because of the years. And again, here you want to use the simplest form of the answer possible. Ariadna says World War II. Yes, and World War II is usually written as WWII, like that. We usually use the Roman numeral for it, but you could use the number 2. So if you wrote WW2, that's okay as well. Minion frags, unfortunately, WW1 is not going to work because they say World War II, not World War I. So you have to be really careful. You'd lose it there. Okay. Now, this last question is a very visual question, and this is again just a reminder of how visual active listening is. This is where you can actually use your note paper. So students, you do have a piece of paper even in the computer-based exam for the listening section. In the computer-based exam, they give you a piece of paper with a little bit of instructions and then quite a bit of blank space, both on the front and the back is completely blank. And they tell you you can use this for your note paper with your pen. So I definitely recommend using that as a note paper, especially when you get to a question like this one, where it's very visual. And you saw me doing this while we were listening. I recreated the 3-panel poster. So it's got 1, 2, 3 parts to it. And we hear them talking about this 3-panel poster even earlier on. So when you have this kind of a visual listening, you should create the image. Some students ask me about like map questions or direction questions in the listening section. Anybody get those when you're doing the exam? Or maybe if you sat the official exam before where it tells you to go straight, turn left, walk through the second door, and you will find the meeting room on your right. Okay, so again, for those types of questions, it's really useful to just draw a quick little map as you're listening. Okay, so it helps you, guides your thinking. All right, anybody get those questions in the past? Wonder how you can do better? That's how you do better. Okay, so when we listen to this, you saw me underline Robespierre, Louis XVI, the king, and then Napoleon Bonaparte, and then they decide that they want to add 2 more people that are not here. So number 28 is an easy one. We can do that first. It's clearly C. They don't include it because we don't hear them mention Rousseau. Rousseau's not mentioned. He's not going on the poster. He's not in this, right? Then they mention 2 other people, Marie Antoinette and Voltaire, very famous French historical figures. And they also say that they're putting Napoleon into the center of the poster because he, of course, kind of led the French Revolution. So Napoleon goes in the middle. So he is a B here. Remember, the instructions tell you to put the letters right into the correct spaces, and then from that we can also figure out by deduction that these 2 are A. So they don't talk about any other person going in the middle, so that means that Robespierre and Louis XVI, the king, go into the side of the poster. Okay, so that's how you should have figured it out. So it's A, C, A, B. Okay. Alexander, you almost got them all correct except for that first one. Okay. All right. They did talk about Robespierre. They just mentioned him briefly at the beginning. All right. Okay, students, I hope you did okay there. Count up your numbers. We'll take a look at that at the very end, and we're going to jump right into section 4. I want to keep you fluid. I want to keep you moving. Section 4 is a little bit faster. There's no break. They just go through section 4 or part 4 all in one go from start to finish. It's pretty quick. So for part 4, it's not just about listening, and the listening section is not just about listening, but especially part 4. It's also about reading. One of the most important daily practice routines that you need to do for the IELTS exam is read every single day. And this part of the listening gives you a clear reason as to why you need to read every day. Not just the reading section, but in the listening, you have to be able to read fairly quickly, fairly fluently, okay? Both when you're reviewing, but also when you're answering questions. So let's do this. Let's jump into the fourth part here. Again, we're going to go through the answers together, and you'll hear it
Now
just once.
Now turn to section 4.
Here we go.
Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
So humanity, as well as other species,
Listening
may have to
section
drastically
4.
alter their Earth's surface.
You will
Temperature has
hear a
risen an
professor
estimated
discussing
1 degree
climate
centigrade in the
change.
past century. Business and environmentalists have been at odds with one another. Causes and implications. Climate change is caused by greenhouse gases. Northern Canada may become a beneficiary. As far as food production is concerned, it could become a more productive place. 4. Who is going to change? People who think each person is responsible for themselves believe that small steps, such
Now
as
listen
using
carefully. And answer
economics,
questions 31
the
to
supply and
40.
demand, conclusion. That's all I
Hello,
had time
class.
for.
Hope you all had a good weekend. Today we will be talking about climate change. Life on Earth is going to have some adapting to do if climate scientists are correct with regard to their predictions of the Earth's rising atmospheric temperature. Humans and animals alike may have to change both their habits and habitats. The average temperature on the Earth's surface has risen by an estimated 1 degree centigrade in the last 100 years, and this trend is continuing at an ever-increasing speed. Until now, it seems that business and the environment have met as adversaries. But with the growing profitability of green products, perhaps business can play a positive role in the fight to save the environment. There is an ever-growing consensus that the cause of climate change can be linked to human action. To be more specific, environmental change is caused by the emission of greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide is chief among these. So what's so bad about things getting a little warmer, you may wonder? Weather patterns could become more extreme. The polar ice caps could melt. Sea levels could rise, and incidences of famine due to drought could also increase. On the other hand, places such as northern Canada will likely become more productive for farming and mineral and crude oil extraction. What isn't positive about the permafrost melting is that the ice is a carbon sink, and when it melts, it releases even more carbon into the atmosphere. It's clear that humans will have to change their relationship with the Earth and its resources, but the debate remains over who should be leading that change. Advocates of personal responsibility claim that small personal measures, such as changing light bulbs or riding a bike, can make a significant difference. On the other hand, governments from developing countries are calling for economic reparations to be paid by developed nations because, after all, it is the rich who cause most of the environmental damage and made money from it. The other major group that has profited from our increasing environmental degradation are corporations. Business has always been about production and consumption. The invisible hand of supply and demand has long run our economic system, and now there is an ever-growing demand for conservation. The question is, when will consumer demand be commensurate with green technological advances that allow for environmentally friendly products to actually be more profitable than those that pollute? One option to speed up this process is to have governments impose true cost taxes on every product that is sold. This would force prices to include an economic pressure to purchase or use products that will not cause further environmental degradation or carbon emissions. There is little doubt that climate change is going to cause a drastic difference to our environment and way of life. The questions that remain to be asked revolve around how to solve the climate crisis and who will pay for the restructuring of our patterns of consumption that have led to these problems. With the ever-growing desire for green consumer goods, perhaps businesses can answer some of these questions by producing environmentally sound products. Even if business has a role to play in saving the environment, it is clear that we all need to do our part.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And after that half minute, if you're doing the paper-based exam, you actually get another 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And in the computer-based exam, you get about 5 minutes to review all of your answers. That's when you can look at the content a little bit deeper and make sure that you're not making any strange mistakes with the words that you're choosing for your answers. The words should be grammatically correct. They should have good spelling. So let's take a look at this. As you can see, students, what you see as the text and what you hear in the audio, I would say about 50% is paraphrased. Okay. So that means the 50% of the words used in the audio are different than what you're seeing in the text. When you're practicing at home, a really good exercise, students, is to match the different words. Okay. So here they say humanity as well as many other, and they didn't say species. What was the word? Anybody just remember that first one that was there? I caught a few of these paraphrases for sure. They didn't use the word species. They actually, or he actually said, the lecturer said the word animals, right? May have to drastically, and they didn't say alter, he said change their habits and habitats, right? So a really good exercise, students, especially for part 4, is listen, and while you're listening, write down all of those paraphrased words. Okay. All right. So humans are animals, but we separate them in conversation sometimes. So here he used animals to paraphrase the word species. So that is correct. Yeah. And again, go through it like this. Okay. I think instead of Earth's surface temperature has risen, he used the word increased. An estimated 1 centigrade in the past century. He didn't say century, he said past 100 years. Okay, so it's a really good exercise to train your brain and your thinking into catching that paraphrase and paying attention to the words that are not being paraphrased. Okay. And yes, it is this fast, Minion Frags. Anybody who has taken the real exam will say, yep, that's part 4. That's exactly what it sounds like. Okay. All right. So again, really good exercise. Everybody got that? That paraphrasing, writing down the paraphrasing in the listening section. Yeah? Everybody clear on that exercise? Any questions? Let me know. You can always send me an email. So 31 is 2 words, habits, habitats. Okay, plural on both. Habits, habitats. Okay. Businesses and environmentalists have been adversaries. They don't say have been at odds. They say have been adversaries with one another. But the emergence of what? It was 2 words here. Anybody get that? Yeah, this is a live stream to Hong An. Yeah, we're doing this live. Doesn't it say live on YouTube? What does it say to you guys? Does it not tell you it's a live stream? It should. Okay. Ariadna says green products. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's green products. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Carolina says, you are live. I'm pretty sure I am. Ouch. I'm pinching myself. Am I human? Am I AI? No, I'm human. AI would not be as funny as me. I'm funnier than AI, I think. All right. It's getting confusing, isn't it? Is he real? What's real? Am I real? All right. Okay, let's keep going here. So, students, notice the next title is causes and implications. Okay, pay really careful attention to these titles, like background information, causes and implications. Okay. All right. Climate change is caused by greenhouse gases, specifically carbon dioxide. You can actually use the chemical term CO2, or if you want, you can write carbon dioxide. But I always recommend the simplest, path of least resistance. Okay. So CO2 is the simplest, path of least resistance. Okay. All right. Warmer weather can cause extreme weather patterns. Ice caps could melt and famine could occur. Northern Canada may become a beneficiary. As far as food production is concerned, it could become a more productive place for number 34. Anybody get that one? And I mean, again, it makes sense. So if the ice is melting and places that were cold before are now becoming warmer, then what can we do there? Agriculture, right? Farming, that's right. We can grow crops where there used to be ice and now there is land. It's true. I live in Canada. I have friends in the northern parts of Canada that can grow food that they could not grow 10 years ago. A big negative is that the melting permafrost contains a lot of carbon which will be released if the ice caps melt. Not if, but when. They're melting. Yep, it's true. Okay. Who is going to change? People who think each person is responsible for themselves believe that small steps such as using energy efficient, one word here, students, even though it sounds like two words, light bulbs, or riding a bike, right? And it's plural. Pay attention to those light bulbs, energy efficient light bulbs. Very good, Ariadna. You're on the ball. Good job. Okay, and then it goes, governments from developing nations want developed countries to pay them for causing such environmental damage. Now, notice, students, how I'm reading these parts. When you have that extra half minute at the end of part 4 to review your answers, and then 10 minutes to transfer your answers to your answer sheets, I strongly recommend that you read all of the parts, even where you don't see questions, because that will give you the context and it will allow you to link the information. And when candidates in the IELTS do that, then they often can catch an answer or two and adjust it to make sure it's correct. Okay. Again, reiterating that reading skills are very important. So you do need to have a good reading fluency and comprehension. Students, if you don't have good reading skills and you're not confident in your reading skills, I don't recommend sitting the IELTS. You're not going to have a good experience, and it's a very low chance that you'll get a good mark, okay? Don't waste your money. Make sure you have good reading skills before you sit the IELTS exam, okay? All right, economics, the money part of it. So the something of supply and demand. They didn't actually say supply and demand. So again, that paraphrasing, it was something like production and consumption. In the audio, they didn't say supply and demand. They said production and consumption, so it's tricky. And yes, it was the invisible hand. Very visual. my hand, but you can't see it. Okay. AI can't do this. Maybe it can. Okay. A million frags, just the hand of supply and demand is not enough. You need invisible hand in this case. Okay. Economists wonder when consumer demand for environmental products will surpass products that pollute. One solution to this problem is to institute a true cost tax, right? Like the real cost of products. I think they already do that with gas, with oil. You have to pay extra to pay for the cleanup of the gas polluting the air, right? I don't know exactly how that's done, but we pay for it. We pay an environmental tax on gasoline, and that's your true cost tax. Okay. This would provide an economic pressure. Again, it's one of those ones that you might be able to guess if you're focused and you're not stressing and you're thinking clearly. Okay, to buy environmentally friendly products. Conclusion, climate change is going to change our way of life. Who will pay for the necessary changes in our consumption patterns? With the growing demand for environmentally friendly goods, it is arguably businesses. Right? Like right now, you didn't drive a car to get to a school to learn for the IELTS exam. You're not using paper, which is made from trees, but you're learning through your computer. So new technology, new ways of doing business is helping us to fight climate change and fight pollution. And so it's maybe businesses that can best answer this question. It is, however, apparent that we all, or everyone, you can't use the word everyone because it's have. So we all have a responsibility. Or you could maybe write all people have a responsibility. Okay. Those were the answers, students. I hope you did a good job and I hope you got a good score. And if you didn't, it's not the end of the world. Just review, revise. How did you do out of 40? Especially if you were here last week and you attended part 1 and part 2 of this exam. What's your total score from the possible 40 questions or 40 points? Count it up. And then once you have that number, use the website to check your band score. You have a score calculator. I'll drop that link into the chat. There you go. This is the link here. If you don't see it in the chat, I'll drop it into the notes as well to check your score. Let's take a look here. Okay. Let's say you got 25. That would be a band 6. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There, that would be a band 6. Let's say you did the reading and then you got 21. That would be a band 5.5. Okay. All right. You've got a band score calculator there and on the general IELTS. All of those necessary tools are on both websites. And again, if you want to study as much as possible, get a good score, pass your exam, then for sure, click that big red button and off you go. Okay. Like I said at the start of the class, we literally help thousands and thousands of students through YouTube, through these live classes, through our materials every single month to be their best selves when it comes to English communication. We had one student, Olivia, here in the chat. Olivia, if you're still here, congrats. Just looking at the chat. Congrats on the score. I think you said you got band 7. Very nice. It means you have good English. Fantastic. Yeah, you're super duper welcome. Even Olivia said, I'm super duper happy. You're super duper welcome, Olivia. Makes me happy that you're happy. Okay, students, General IELTS, GIELTShelp.com. It's the green background. Same idea, same thing. The tests are a little bit different. The strategies are a little bit different, especially for the reading and task 1 writing. But otherwise, listening section's the same, speaking section's the same. We just like to keep them separate. People doing the General IELTS are usually doing that for immigration and other purposes. Academic, you're doing it for school, maybe work. We like to keep the materials clearly separated for you on 2 websites and 2 different apps. Okay, again, if you're looking for the app instead of the website, you're like, I'm on the phone, then just look for the apps Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. Students, tomorrow we've got speaking, and that's going to be through YouTube here, but we will combine it with Zoom. Zoom, of course, is the conference or meeting app, and it works really well for these classes. You can volunteer. I'll share a Zoom link with you tomorrow. It's always the same Zoom link, by the way, so if you were here in previous speaking classes, we use the same Zoom link, and then you'll be able to join, and you can volunteer to practice a few questions with me. I'm excited about that. I hope you are too. I wish you a fantastic rest of the day. Carolina, thank you so much for helping with some answers, getting me back on the right track when I gave the wrong answer. That was good too. Okay. Minion Frags, you can write a synonym for we all as long as it makes sense. Yeah, they usually will give that to you. Okay. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in the world today. Remember, stay positive, chin up, moving forward. Bye for now, everybody.